discuss how will you really make it practical. How many have you finished your strategic plan? You have a strategic plan? You have a strategic plan that's finished? Greek? Good. So you need to know who are your key stakeholders, what it is you're doing. So what's important here, what we want to do, is what gets in the way of listening to your, maybe I'll call it stakeholders better. There's community, but there's also stakeholders. Government, board members, budget holders, civil servants. There's a whole list up there. What gets in the way of listening to your community? Actually, let me swap this presentation a bit so that you start with. Move this for me to be number one. Name the 2 to 3. Well, make that one number one. Name 2 to 3 stakeholders. Okay. We were debating about it, the census. So I've reworded it. Think about 2 to 3 critical stakeholders for your strategy. And you know, there are many, just now we're discussing how many programs you can have, but ultimately the result, the goal you want is one. Your mission is one. The thing that, why you wake up is one purpose. Like that video Purity showed on girls. So based on that strategy, who are the 2 to 3 key stakeholders that you need? What gets in the way of listening to them better? And what are the 2 to 3 actions you can take? So that you really, from now, between now and when we close, you have engaged them so that they enrich your strategy. Does that make sense? Yes? Amani, your mini. But I think anyway, your strategy is one and your organization is one, so you can. So we'll take just 20 minutes going through that and then we want to discuss it. Sawa sawa. Mnaonekana kama mjachangamka. What is the problem? No, it's.
Me, I'm ready to conquer the world.
Yeah, it's important to make things practical. Do you have an addition? Oh, and anything else?
Okay, I was saying this is correct, like this, we go here. But if you had something else that touched you and that you as a group really feel you should add here as another thing, you are also welcome to do so. Okay? But do 2 to 3 stakeholders because we think that is where, but maybe there's something you had that you want to continue.
So maybe let's add another question.
Yes.
Whether there's something else.
Yes.
That's question number 2 so that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something else?
I believe it is clear. Are you guys three? Oh, the other one is okay. Because Ananda is not here. But you just go ahead. She's not joined.
What's the AC? We are freezing. Or is it just me? At least somebody else said. All right. So, remember we are still listening. And we listen what we want to give feedback on. Think about what you can add for them and what you like. So every time somebody presents, we will then say, this is what I like about what you're saying, about what they're presenting.
So the stakeholders that are critical for our outcome, we mentioned grassroots organizations that we work with, because in our organization, we normally work with partner organizations. These are the grassroots organizations. Then the donors, the children, and the government. So the donors are the ones who are giving us funding to enable us to work. The children are our key beneficiaries of what we normally do. And then the government, we also felt, is a critical partner, because without their permission to work in the ground, we might not be able to implement anything. So the next question was, what gets in the way of listening to our stakeholders? No, sorry. So why are they important? Why are the stakeholders important? Co-creation and connection with our stakeholders, leaving an empty chair for relevant stakeholders, and being intentional in distribution of power. Then what gets in the ways of listening to them better? Approaching the stakeholders with a predetermined mindset. When you're going to the stakeholders, you already know what you want from them instead of listening to them. Then resources, and also distances and field offices. By distances, we mean where we work is in Kajiado, the interior, because we normally target the farthest left behind. So sometimes distance becomes an issue. What practical actions to overcoming these obstacles? Approaching, leaving an empty chair for relevant stakeholders to know what they want, fundraising, and going local, that is nearer to the stakeholders. Then we also discussed about mentoring our partners or the staff of the organizations that we work with. Thank you. Yesterday we learned about the concept of leaving an empty chair in our board, so that this chair represents now the stakeholders that we work with. That is where we borrowed that answer of leaving an empty chair. We felt the empty chair will now represent the stakeholders that we are working in. Yes.
Sorry?
It should not be empty, because there is a stakeholder. Why should it be empty?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
It was a symbolic thing.
Yes.
You really can't get the stakeholders in some engagement somehow. Then you can symbolize it. But I'm wondering why. Can you bring them in? Can you talk to them? Because don't mystify this. There are ways to engage them, and they can be on the table. They don't have to be in the boardroom, but there are ways to. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a question. How will you hear their voice?
We will engage them in the field. We work in Kajiado County, so we'll go down to the field to listen to them. And yeah, they can even come to Nairobi. Yes.
Okay, maybe to add, I think there are several in the notebook, we talked about also having reflection time with them. And that part about leaving an empty chair, I think it's more like, are we involving them? But anyway, for that, how to resolve the obstacles is one, we need to have reflection times and involve our stakeholders every step of the way. So at project design, we need to find out what are we need to communicate better so that at every stage, even when we have an idea, rather than going, to be like, this is the idea we have, it's more like, what do you think about, the issue we are having, so that then we are having them right from the beginning of the project. And I can give other team members to add.
Yeah, I think the whole structure of Greek is about having the stakeholder in the conversation, because we work through grassroots organizations. The how then becomes having them in all steps of project formulation, all the way from conception to M&E spaces. I think the area of growth there is to be more intentional about involving them. And I agree that it's not an empty chair that should be left. That chair should be occupied by a stakeholder. And it's not so hard to get them in the conversation. So. The practicability thing is to have them in the conversation and not leave an empty chair.
How much do you raise fundraising?
You want a number? I mean, our annual budget is usually close to $1 million. In this strategic period, we're aiming at doubling that number per year, and we're on our course there. We're on our way there. Because it's all about, if you're doing, let's say, in all our program areas, our philosophy has always been doubling the numbers. So, for example, we're moving from 47 schools in Kajiado alone to almost 60 schools. That requires almost double the resources. So, we are moving this thing from $1 million a year and working towards taking it around $2 million a year. And that's our focus for this year and subsequent years. Of course, it grows as it goes.
All right. Any other comments?
Also in terms of learning and relearning each and every moment in terms of how we are working, being more intentional in our mentorship to the grassroots organization and every stakeholder that you're going to work closely with, to ensure that they've been able to, as we are co-creating with them, all the way even from proposal writing, they're involved, able to share the ideas. So when it comes to implementation, we'll be working closely with them to understand the how to do it, as opposed to just maybe training them and doing a short-term kind of mentorship, but being intentional in terms of them knowing how to do it and showing it practically to them for a longer period of time.
Then one last one, we talked about the part about going local. Really what we were saying is that we have our office in Nairobi and we have, the partner offices, but we also feel maybe we need to be closer to them, because if we're going to mentor them, because one of the challenges is that, we train, then again we train, then how about if we can be there with them, mentor them for a longer time? Because for us, because we're in the farthest left behind, so it's also very expensive in terms of right deep inside there. Maybe we need to consider spending more time in the field, in those satellite offices, and maybe having a space. Yes.
Some positive. Amani and you like one person each. There must be something. Yes.
Okay, I think we share the point of leaving an empty chair for the relevant stakeholders. So I think that is one thing that we share about. Yeah.
I like the way you're looking at the screen like, give me an answer. Something positive you like?
For me, like is the mentality of fundraising, how they fundraise to reach their goals.
Clarity on those goals. All right, give Greek a round of applause. Want to say something? As we.
Yes, actually, I wanted to congratulate Greek team. First, for the idea of going local. I think this was just an emphasis because we know they are already there in the community, but they just see there's more importance to go to deep down to the community as well. Another thing, this did not come up in the presentation, but fortunately some said that their focus is always doubling up the numbers. Firstly, the budget, like they were focusing to raise $1 million, and then their current vision is to double the number. I think this gives a room to go and reach more beneficiaries at the community. So congrats to the team.
Very good. Round of applause for them. Lami? This one is on the. Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Do you want another dance? Ah, okay. Can you kindly display the questions, please?
You can display the questions. The one you are taking on.
Okay, so the first question was what are the key critical stakeholders? And at GLAMI, our critical stakeholders are the scholars. So we work with the secondary school girls around 3 regions, and these are the people that makes us wake up in the morning and go to the office. So these are our key stakeholders. But we also have the government. We work with the government officials, like ward officials, to the ministry level. But we also work with partner schools because all of our work happens in partner schools. So we partner with schools to deliver the curriculum. But we also acknowledge the work of donors and funders and other partners, people who contribute to us traveling to the schools and everything, providing for the scholars and parents and all the stakeholders around that needs our support. And the second question was, what else from the last 2 days is important to take forward to the organization? And before I go to the next question, there was a question about why are they important? And for us, these stakeholders are the catalyst to the change because we work with the girls and we expect the girls to go back to the communities and give back. So these are the recipes to the changes. Hallelujah. Okay. So we also, their voices contribute to the policy refinement. We have hopes that in the next 5 or 3 years maybe there'll be the policy that protects, or there'll be a refinement policy that can make our curriculum maybe be adapted by the government and being provided by the government instead of the organization. Yeah. So question number 2, what else from the last 2 days is important to take forward to the organization? And the first one will be the stakeholders inclusion, like including the voices of girls. We have been including the voices of girls, but maybe we can keep doing that and maybe keep involving the other stakeholders that we really think that they are going to contribute and their ideas really matters. So Another one would be stakeholders are more than human. This we got it from yesterday's presentation. I guess it was from Purity. No, Christine, sorry. So stakeholders are more than human being. We should also consider non-human stakeholders like future, the climate, and the planet. Yeah. So the question number 3 is what gets in the way listening to them better? So these are like the current challenges that act like an obstacle. And the first one will be the limited resources. We understand that there has never been enough resources. I don't know about the organization, but we have limited resources. For instance, currently we conducted an assessment we wanted to expand, like we are working on expansion, and we had to collect the feedback and voices of the girls, and most of the girls felt like the distance was the problem, but coming back to the organization, our scale can only provide them curriculum, so they want pizza, we can only provide bread, see? So we have limited resources. Another one would be the organizational policies. Like we have policies that really limit us from reaching some of the places. For instance, our policy doesn't allow us to take boda, but we have to visit some of the parents or scholars who really need our help, and we have to use boda because of the remoteness, and the organization doesn't allow that because of the safety. But we also, another thing that gets in the way is stakeholders not being able to open up. Some of the scholars, parents, and all other stakeholders find it very hard to open up, not because we are vulnerable, but it's just the culture sometimes. For example, some of the culture, for example, Maasai, I'm sorry if there's any Maasai, find it hard, like the girls have been taught not to speak, just from their families. So it is very hard for them to speak up and open up sometimes, so it is very hard to understand how we can support them. So the 4th question is practical actions to overcome these obstacles. And the first one be the involving and collaboration with the potential stakeholders. For example, the traditional leaders. For my fellow Maasais, understand the power of traditional leaders like Guanans. And another one would be to invest more in organizational visibility, just for them to understand what does GLAMI do, and just something for them to understand our work and everything, like awareness. The last one is looking for a strong partnership and financial support. As I said, we have limited resources, so maybe we should also look for strong partnerships. We really have the strong partnership, but more strong partnerships so that they can support us more and expand to more schools, because the demand now is very high and we are only located in 3 regions. Thank you.
About the border, I know the safety issues probably around Arusha. Maybe think about having pre-procured borders who you can even, to ensure your safety. Because in some of those areas, maybe border is the only way. So maybe thinking about having identified border riders, and at Greek we have our own helmets. So when I go to the field, I have my helmet. I'm sure of my own safety, and then there's this other border that we know. The other thing I've seen from Fitch their way is that all those ladies here can ride a bike. Mm-hmm. The candies and when I go there, they carry me. So initially I was skeptical, but they are good riders. So maybe think about building institutional capacity, because you have to move to spaces where only border can access. Or if you can't build that space, maybe think about having pre-vetted or something Boda Boda, guys.
Thank you. We are taking that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just to add on the issue of Boda Boda. So currently we are also piloting interventions to work with local communities to areas that are hard to reach. So if it's schools, we are piloting to work with teachers who are from the same schools so that they can be implementing the programs, and GLAMI becomes just monitoring and evaluating. Yeah.
Also, I can add something concerning about the Boda Boda. As we have a project which deal with young or adolescent girls, the Boda Boda, we have capacitated them about our program and our project, how it go, and how they can work on behalf of us to protect violence against girls and other people within their families. So Boda Boda, they are good people. We can educate them what we are doing, and then they can work on behalf of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Speaking to the point of the stakeholders not opening up, I think now that we are also working in Kajiado, maybe, I don't know if it will be a similar context, or maybe you can try if it's going to work. In terms of the girls not speaking up, maybe looking at the approach in terms of creating safe spaces for them to be able to speak up. And creating a safe space will be in terms of looking at the different ages of the girls that are in that particular group to speak up. Because once they see someone older than them, especially maybe like their mothers, they'll hold back some of the information, as well as maybe seeing a male figure, they also hold back. So looking at the different contexts in terms of creating that particular environment for them to speak up and be able to look for maybe peer-to-peer kind of a feedback from there. And if there's someone within the staff who is a lady who can be able to get to their level, just getting to their level and be like them, then they can be able to open up and be able to start speaking on that.
Thank you. My colleagues has taken that down.
And also to add on the same, it's also good if you have like role models, like in the same community, maybe you have other Maasai girls who are educated in the community, so they go back and speak to them when they see someone whom they can relate to or from their culture who has succeeded, and also maybe as part of your organization, the girls will be more open to speak up because they know this is someone from us and someone who can relate to our issues.
That was so insightful. Thank you.
I think for me it's just to commend the part about, working and involving government. And yes, I think, as much as we are civil society organizations, I think there are certain areas, if we don't connect, especially the policy part and addressing some of these barriers, because we need that muscle to help change some of these practices. Yeah, so I appreciate that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Power lies there, and how much power they have. Yeah. Nice. Amani.
So, our presentation will be more of an engaging one. So to start with, the first question was around who are our stakeholders and how do we think they are important. So we have a group of the critical ones being three. First the girls, then the government, and then donors. And then why are girls important? We think that girls are the main reason of our existence. Even our motto is that we are focusing on empowering girls for development. So the reason the reason of our existence in business terms, we could say our core business and our set of programs. And then the government, these are policy makers as well as regulators and administrators of these policies, as well as the NGO sector in our country. So these are also critical, because when it comes to a situation where the government changes their focus or changes policies, then that kind of impact our intervention. We have past experiences during the previous administration of late President Magufuli, where the pregnant students were not allowed to go back to school. So you cannot bring a program that would initiate something like that. As well as another group of stakeholders that are critical to us are donors, because they we rely on donor funding, and we think that they are important to us for carrying out the activities and all that. The second question, this one, I will leave to Eliza.
It caught me by surprise. Okay, I should explain the second. Okay. For something else that's from today and yesterday, that will be taken away going forward, is the co-creation. They have heard a lot on co-creation and active listening that was taught today. Actually, these are part of our core values. So we are just going to cement on them more, just to ensure that everyone is practicing the tool. Yeah, should I?
Yes, thanks, Eliza. So on the part of co-creation, just to add up on what Eliza was saying, we have a youth representative in our board. Okay. In our board, so just so to bring out the ideas of youth in the implementation, but we just want to go deep down to the community and co-create the programs with girls and youths. And then the third question was around what gets in the way of listening to our stakeholders. So first, girls, just like Glami was saying, the cultural norms and values that are in the communities that we implement our programs, they tend a little bit to prevent girls from sharing their ideas. For example, when you conduct a community meeting, you want girls to speak out. We are from the elect zone region, and the communities in the elect zone, their cultural, the norms and values prevent girls from coming up forward and speak. And then the other hinders are the gatekeepers, the parents, the guardians, and all that. Some of them prevents girls to share the ideas or to come. If we create a girls group, then parents, some of the parents speak to their girls not to come to and join these groups. And then another is the government. The government, what hinders us, we are Tanzanians, and the government bureaucracy prevents a lot of things moving in the government offices. You have an issue with the ministry, it might take a couple of months. For example, you expected a thing to take a month, could take up to 6 months to be worked on, as well as the political interest of the government, as I said earlier. And then when it comes to donors, there is an issue of priorities. If donors change priorities, then that also can affect us. As well, the trend of global economy, as we have seen the USAID issue, as well as the last thing being the global pandemics. So the actions to overcome these obstacles, I would leave it to Sono.
One of the points you highlighted on compliance, because the government always requires to comply to some aspect of the laws. So we'll be working hard to ensure that we have a system that ensure we comply in every aspect, so that we are not in a conflict with the government. And then the awareness creation into the community, so that we can address what are the merits of what we are programming to do into the community. So the community could have a buy-in to what we are aiming to do with, including the gatekeepers and traditional leaders, everyone in the community. And also we look at engaging them meaningfully, not only during implementation, but also across all the programs cycle, from planning, implementation, during learning and replanning as well. That goes together with co-creation during designing of intervention. And also we communicate throughout to the community what we are doing. And then we invent a culture of, we invent a sense of accepting our organizational culture. I think those are the key issues to eliminate the obstacles. Asanteni.
Any comments? Leave that slide on. I think the idea of active listening. No, assertive communication. Any comments? Should I action? You're very happy. One person say something. Yes,
I love the fact that they are willing to be compliant. You know, CSOs have this thing of trying to fight the government. You'll never win that war. So at times it's just good to play along with the books. So I really like the fact that you want to be at peace with mama na serikali yake kule.
I was talking about community in terms of parents, guardians, inclusion of them, because they're gatekeepers. They need to be brought in as part of the project. Does that make sense? Okay, give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Was that useful? Yes, I think those reflection moments are good. So it is 3:15. You have an hour. We'll be back here at 4:15 after tea break. Yes. So I said I needed us so that we can have a good exchange. It was one of the requests in the morning. So we listened. Yeah. So we'll be back here at at 4:15. But we'll be back at 4:15. Yes, so that we can do our final.